tonight is the Mahatanhasankhaya Sutta, the greater discourse on the destruction of craving. Thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was living in Sulati in Jeta's grove and Pendika's park. Now on that occasion a pernicious view had arisen in a monk named Sati, son of a fisherman, thus: as I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is the same consciousness that runs and wanders through the realms of rebirth, not another. Now this view is a Hindu view, and it has to do with reincarnation, which is not what the Buddha taught, even though some of the Tibetans have this idea that there is reincarnation. It does not agree with the Buddha's teaching. Several monks, having heard about this, went to the monk Sati and asked him, "Friend Sati, is it true that such a pernicious view has arisen in you?" "Exactly so, friends. As I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is this same consciousness that runs and wanders through the realms of rebirth, not another." That is the sole belief. Then those monks, desiring to detach him from that pernicious view, pressed and questioned and cross-questioned him thus: "Friend Sati, do not say so. Do not misrepresent the Blessed One. It is not good to misrepresent the Blessed One. The Blessed One would not speak thus, for in many ways the Blessed One has stated consciousness to be dependently arisen. Since without a condition there's no origination of consciousness. Yet, although pressed and questioned and cross-questioned by those monks in this way, the monk Sati, son of a fisherman, still obstinately adheres to that pernicious view and continues to insist upon it. Since the monks were unable to detach him from that view, they went to the Blessed One, after paying homage to him, sat down at one side and told him all that had occurred, adding, "Venerable Sir, since we could not detach the monk Sati, son of a fisherman, from this pernicious view, we have reported this matter to the Blessed One." Then the Blessed One addressed a certain monk thus: "Come, monk, tell the monk Sati, son of a fisherman, in my name that the teacher calls him." "Yes, venerable sir." This is kind of a monk joke about Sati, calling him the son. He was the son of a fisherman, but he hated the smell of fish. So that's one of the reasons that we call him the son of the fisherman, because he had this aversion. And he went to the monk Sati and told him, "The teacher calls you, friend Sati." "Yes, friend," he replied. He went to the Blessed One after paying homage to him, sat down at one side. The Blessed One then asked him, "Sati, is it true that the following pernicious view has arisen in you? As I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is this same consciousness that runs and wanders through the rounds of rebirth, not another?" "Exactly so, Venerable Sir. As I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is this same consciousness that runs and wanders through the rounds of rebirth, not another." "What is that consciousness, Sati?" "Venerable Sir, it is that which speaks and feels and experiences here and there the results of good and bad actions." "Misguided man, to whom have you ever known me to teach the Dhamma in that way?" "Misguided man, have I not stated in many ways consciousness to be dependently arisen, since without a condition there is no origination of consciousness? But you, misguided man, have misrepresented us by your wrong grasp and injured yourself and stored up much demerit. For this will lead to your harm and suffering for a long time." Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, what do you think? Has this monk Sati, son of a fisherman, kindled even a spark of wisdom in this Dhamma and discipline?" "How could he, Venerable Sir?" "No, Venerable Sir." When this was said, the monk Sati, son of a fisherman, sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping and head down, glum and without response. Then, knowing this, the Blessed One told him, "Misguided man, you will be recognized by your own pernicious view. I shall question the monks on this matter." Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, do you understand the Dhamma taught by me, as this monk Sati, son of a fisherman, does when he misrepresents us by his wrong grasp and injures himself and stores up much demerit?" "No, Venerable Sir, for in many discourses the Blessed One has stated consciousness to be dependently arisen, since without a condition there's no origination of consciousness." "Good monks, it is good that you understand the Dhamma taught by me thus. For in many ways I have stated consciousness to be dependently arisen, since without a condition there is no origination of consciousness. But this monk Sati, son of a fisherman, misrepresents us by his wrong grasp and injures himself and stores up much demerit. For this will lead to the harm and suffering of this misguided man for a long time." Monks, consciousness is reckoned by the particular condition dependent upon which it arises. When consciousness arises dependent on the I and forms, it is reckoned as I consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the ear and sounds, it is reckoned as ear consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the nose and odors, it is reckoned as nose consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the tongue and flavors, it is reckoned as tongue consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the body and tangibles, it is reckoned as body consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on mind and mind objects, it is reckoned as mind consciousness. Just as fire is reckoned by the particular condition dependent upon which it burns. When fire burns dependent on logs, it is reckoned as a log fire. When fire burns dependent on branches, it is reckoned as a branch fire. When fire burns dependent on grass, it is reckoned as a grass fire. When fire burns dependent on cow dung, it is reckoned as a cow dung fire. When fire burns dependent on chaff, it is reckoned as a chaff fire. When fire burns dependent on rubbish, it is reckoned as a rubbish fire. So too, consciousness is reckoned by the particular condition dependent upon which it arises. When consciousness arises dependent on the eye and forms, it is reckoned as eye consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the ear and sounds, it is reckoned as ear consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the nose and odors, it is reckoned as nose consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the tongue and flavors, it is reckoned as tongue consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on the body and tangibles, it is reckoned as body consciousness. When consciousness arises dependent on mind and mind objects, it is reckoned as mind consciousness. Now we're going to go through a general questionnaire on being. Monks, do you see this has come to be? Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, do you see its origination occurs with that as nutriment? Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, do you see with the cessation of that nutriment what has come to be is subject to cessation? Yes, Venerable Sir. Now, we just went through the first three noble truths. This has come to be. That is the first noble truth. Its origination occurs with that as nutriment. That is the second noble truth. With the cessation of that nutriment, letting go of craving, what has come to be is subject to cessation. That's the third noble truth. Monks, does doubt arise when one is uncertain thus? Has this come to be? Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, Does doubt arise when one is uncertain thus? Does its origination occur with that as nutriment? Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, does doubt arise when one is uncertain thus? With the cessation of that nutriment is what has come to be subject to cessation. Yes, Venerable Sir. If you have doubt about these things, it's going to cause all kinds of confusion. Monks, is doubt abandoned in one who sees as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? This has come to be. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, is doubt abandoned in one who sees as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? Its origination occurs with that as nutriment. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, is doubt abandoned in one who sees as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? With the cessation of that nutriment, what has come to be is subject to cessation. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, are you thus free from doubt here? This has come to be. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, are you thus free from doubt here? Its origination occurs with that as nutriment. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, are you thus free from doubt here? With the cessation of that nutriment, what has come to be is subject to cessation. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, has it been seen well by you as it actually is? Now he's asking the monks, do you personally see this? Has it been seen well by you as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? This has come to be. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, has it been seen well by you as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? Its origination occurs with that as nutriment. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, has it been seen well by you as it actually is with proper wisdom thus? With the cessation of that nutriment, what has come to be is subject to cessation. Yes, Venerable Sir. Monks, purified and bright as this view is, if you adhere to it, cherish it, treasure it, and treat it as a possession, would you then understand that the Dhamma has been taught as similar to a raft being for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping? No, Venerable Sir. Monks, purified and bright as this view is, if you do not adhere to it, cherish it, treasure it, and treat it as a possession, would you then understand that the Dhamma has been taught as similar to a raft being for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping? Yes, Venerable Sir. Now we're going to talk about nutriment and dependent origination. Nutriment means food. What are you feeding? You'll get a closer view of this in a moment. Monks, there are 4 kinds of nutriment for the maintenance of beings that have already come to be, and for the support of those about to come to be. What for? They are physical food as nutriment, gross or subtle. Contact as the second. Formations as the third. And consciousness as the fourth. Now, these 4 kinds of nutriment have what as their source? What as their origin? From what are they born and produced? These 4 kinds of nutriment have craving as their source, craving as their origin. They are born and produced from craving. And this craving has what as its source? What as its origin? From what is it born and produced? Craving has feeling as its source. Feeling as its origin. It is born and produced from feeling. And this feeling has what as its source? What as its origin? From what is it born and produced? Feeling has contact as its source, contact as its origin. It is born and produced from contact. And this contact has what as its source, what as its origin, from what is it born and produced. Contact has the 6-fold base as its source. The 6-fold base as its origin. They are born and produced from the 6-fold base. And this 6-fold base has what as its source? What as its origin? From what is it? From what are they born and produced? The 6-fold base has mentality, materiality as its source. Mentality, materiality as its origin. They are born and produced from mentality, materiality. And this mentality, materiality has what as its source? What as its origin? From what is it born and produced? Mentality, materiality has consciousness as its source. Consciousness as its origin. It is born and produced from consciousness. And this consciousness has what as its source? What as its origin? From what is it born and produced? Consciousness has formations as its source. Formations as its origin. They are born and produced from formations. And these formations have what as their source? What is their origin? From what are they born and produced? Formations have ignorance as their source. Ignorance as their origin. They are born and produced from ignorance. Now we're going to do the forward exposition on arising. This is how dependent origination arises. So, with ignorance as condition,
formations come to be. You can check pull your charts up.
pull your charts out.
Pull your charts up, the 12-point sheet.
Page 35.
35, page 35. Here you go.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the start of this and then you name the condition. Okay. So with ignorance as condition,
Formations come to be.
with formations as condition,
Consciousness comes to be.
consciousness as condition,
Mentality, materiality comes to be.
with mentality, materiality as condition,
Sixfold base comes to be.
with the sixfold base as condition,
Contact comes to be.
with contact as condition,
Feelings comes to be.
with feeling as condition,
Craving comes to be.
with craving as condition,
Clinging comes to be.
with clinging as condition,
Habitual tendency comes to be.
with habitual tendency as condition,
Birth reaction comes to be.
with birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair comes to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. With birth as condition, aging and death come to be. So it was said, now do aging and death have birth as condition or not, or how do you take it in this case? Aging and death have birth as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With birth as condition, aging and death comes to be. With habitual tendency as condition, birth comes to be. So it was said. Now, does birth have habitual tendency as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Birth has habitual tendency as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With habitual tendency as condition, birth comes to be. With clinging as condition, habitual tendency comes to be, so it was said. Now, does habitual tendency have clinging as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Habitual tendency has clinging as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With clinging as condition, habitual tendency comes to be. With craving as condition, clinging comes to be, so it was said. Now, does clinging have craving as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Clinging has craving as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With craving as condition, clinging comes to be. With feeling as condition, craving comes to be, so it was said. Now, does craving have feeling as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Craving has feeling as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With feeling as condition, craving comes to be. With contact as condition, feeling comes to be, so it was said. Now, does feeling have contact as condition or not, or how do you take it in this case? Feeling has contact as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With contact as condition, feeling comes to be. With the sixfold base as condition, contact comes to be, so it was said. Now, does contact have the sixfold base as condition or not, or how do you take it in this case? Sixfold base as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With the sixfold base as condition, contact comes to be. With mentality, materiality as condition, the sixfold base comes to be, so it was said. Now, does the sixfold base have mentality, materiality as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case?
Sixfold
Base has mentality, materiality as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With mentality, materiality as condition, the sixfold base comes to be. With consciousness as condition, mentality, materiality comes to be, so it was said. Now, does mentality, materiality have consciousness as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? As condition, as consciousness as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With consciousness as condition, mentality, materiality comes to be. With formations as condition, consciousness comes to be, so it was said. Now, does consciousness have formations as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Consciousness has formations as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With formations as condition, consciousness comes to be. With ignorance as condition, formations comes to be, so it was said. Now, do formations have ignorance as condition or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Formations have ignorance as condition, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With ignorance as condition, formations comes to be. Good, monks, so you say thus, and I also say thus. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. That is, with ignorance as condition,
formations come to be.
with formations as condition,
Consciousness comes to be.
with consciousness as condition,
Mentality, materiality comes to be.
with mentality, materiality as condition,
Sixfold base comes to be.
with the sixfold base as condition,
Contact comes to be.
with contact as condition,
Feelings comes to be.
with feeling as condition,
Cravings comes to be.
with craving as condition,
Clinging comes to be.
with clinging as condition,
Habitual tendencies comes to be.
with habitual tendency as condition,
Growth and transformation.
with birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair comes to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. This is how this whole process gets it kickstarted. With the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes cessation of formations. With the cessation of formations, cessation of,
Consciousness.
with the cessation of consciousness, cessation of, with the cessation of mentality, materiality, the cessation of, with the cessation of the sixfold base, cessation of, with the cessation of contact, cessation of, with the cessation of feeling, cessation of, with the cessation of craving, cessation of, with the cessation of clinging, cessation of, with the cessation of habitual tendencies, cessation of, with the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. So what this is saying is, if contact doesn't arise, then feeling won't arise. If feeling won't arise, then craving won't arise. And all the way until there is letting go of all suffering. When you're starting to go deeper into your meditation, and you start to see little tiny movements of mind's attention, you're starting to see some of the links of dependent origination. And you will see how it ceases when you use the 6 R's. Okay? So now we're just going to do a little bit of this one, because this book likes to do ... so it doesn't have to write so much. And that's what happens with this section. With the cessation of birth, cessation of aging and death. So it was said, now, do aging and death cease with the cessation of birth or not? Or how do you take it in this case? Aging and death cease with the cessation of birth, Venerable Sir. Thus we take it in this case. With the cessation of birth, cessation of aging and death. So, the importance of using the 6 R's cannot be understated. Okay? Every time there's a movement or vibration, you need to 6 R. Let it be. You're letting go of this process that causes so much suffering. Okay? Now in Burma, well, I was there, which was the first time I went to Burma was 1988. I was taken to a monastery for a day visit where all they did was recite the links of dependent origination, forwards and backwards, over and over again. And there was quite a few people that were there doing it. It was like 50 or 60 people that were all reciting the links of dependent origination. Kind of inspiring, to be quite honest. They really did understand this is how this process works. Now, the thing is, You don't necessarily have to know all of the links of dependent origination in order to attain Nibbana. But it does get easier to attain when you do see these different links and you understand how these links actually work. What happens after a while when you get used to reciting the links of dependent origination is you start seeing the links arising in yourself. And this is part of the insights that you get. This is how that worked. I see exactly how this process is. And it's really quite amazing when you see this process and you start realizing that this is for real. This is how this process actually does work. Now, one of the things that can happen when you actually start understanding the links of dependent origination is that you start letting go of the craving. And when you let go of the craving, sometimes people have fear arising. And I've had people call me from all over the world telling me that they have so much fear and they know that they're going to die. Now, what's actually happening for those people is they are starting to realize, their mind is starting to realize that everything is part of an impersonal process. And your mind starts to throw a temper tantrum. It's like a little kid that doesn't get his way and they start beating on the ground. I hate this, I hate this. So if fear arises, you know what I tell people to do? Laugh. Laugh at your mind for acting like a little child. That fear will disappear very quickly. Okay? Smile. All the time smile. When you start realizing that this is part of a process and it is all impersonal, then there is real freedom in the letting go of this. It changes your whole perspective of the way you see the world. It changes everything. And mind becomes more uplifted because you're not so caught up in taking things personally. This is me, this is mine, this is myself. Now you're starting to see this is impersonal. There is no me, there is no mine, there is no I. That's a false belief. But it's a belief that we've been carrying around since time immemorial. We've been saying that this is all of my thoughts, all of my feelings, all the sensations, all the craziness that comes up in mind. This is all me, this is mine. And then you get caught up in your emotional habitual tendency and you try to control your feelings and you get real caught up in the dislike of these thoughts and feelings that come up. But there's nothing to dislike. It's only a thought. It's only a feeling. And it certainly isn't yours. You didn't ask it to come up, right? It comes up by itself. Stop taking things seriously. Develop a sense of humor with yourself about how crazy your mind is. It's okay to be crazy. We're all crazy. Okay? Because we take these thoughts and these feelings personally. And we cause ourselves so much suffering. We need to back off from that. Now there's a state called disenchantment. When it's a stronger kind of equanimity. When you become disenchanted with things, you'll notice that you go to lunch and there's a lot of your favorite foods on the table. When your mind is disenchanted, it doesn't get excited about it. It's just, that's food. There it is. So what happens is you lose that excitement and your mind becomes more and more clear, more and more uplifted. And eventually you get to a place that's called dispassion. And with the dispassion, then you will attain Nibbana. Okay. Now, this can still happen on this retreat for a lot of you. Starting to progress very nicely now. Continue on.
Yeah. What is personal? Well, this is impersonal. What do you call as the person?
Personal. You don't call anything personal. You're not here.
Even our mind is not personal, right?
No. It happens by itself. You don't ask these things to come up. You ask thoughts to come up.
What about our body?
What about what?
Our body. Is it not
Your
personal?
body? Where are you in your body? Are you your lungs? Are you your intestines? Are you your liver? Where are you? See, we only think in concepts. Okay? Now, here's a concept. This is a chair. Where is the chair? Is it the legs? Is it the back? Where is the chair? The chair is made up of different things put together to make up a concept, right? Where's an automobile? Is it the windscreen? Is it the bumper? Is it the motor? Where is the automobile? It's a bunch of parts put together to make up a concept. This body is a bunch of parts put together, and it's all conceptual. When I was in Thailand, I got to go to a few autopsies. People just died that morning. And there they are, they're starting to cut open the body, where is that person that died? They take out the liver, they take out the heart, they weigh it, they do all kinds of things. They cut here and then take the skin and throw it on the face and then take a saw and cut the skull. And there's the brain. Are they brain? Are they part of the brain? No. Where am I in that mess? Because there's no difference between what they're cutting on and this body. It's just a bunch of stuff put together to make up what we call our body. But there's nothing personal about it. It's not me, it's not mine. As a matter of fact, I had a bunch of students when I first came to Malaysia. I was in KL, and they were 19, 20, 21 years old, and they were just starting to have hormones running through their bodies, and they would sit in meditation, and they started complaining about having lust arise. So what did I tell them to do? I told them, turn the body inside out. Tell me what's beautiful about it. There's pus, and there's blood, and there's bile, and oils. If you see a beautiful body walk by and you turn it inside out, what's beautiful about it? Oh, you have a great looking set of intestines. You have a wonderful liver. It's putting yourself back into balance so that the lust does not distract you. There's nothing beautiful about the body. It's all mental ideas about it which cause us all kinds of problems. So, okay. Good, so you say thus, and I also say thus. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. Cessation of? With the cessation of formation, cessation of?
Consciousness.
With the cessation of consciousness, cessation of? With the cessation of mentality, materiality, cessation of?
Sixfold base.
With the cessation of the sixfold base, cessation of?
Contact.
With the cessation of contact, cessation of?
Feelings.
With the cessation of feeling, cessation of?
Craving.
With the cessation of craving, cessation of?
Clinging.
With the cessation of clinging, cessation of?
Habitual tendencies.
With the cessation of habitual tendency, cessation of?
Birth.
With the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Now, knowing and seeing in this way, would you run back to the past thus? past? Were we not in the past? What were we in the past? How were we in the past? Having been what did we become in the past? Would you run back to the past and think about those sort of things? No. Why? Because that's being caught up in opinions and ideas and all kinds of things. Knowing and seeing in this way of how this process actually works, would you run forward to the future thus? Shall we be in the future? Shall we not be in the future? What shall we be in the future? How shall we be in the future? Having been what shall we become in the future? No, you're not going to think about that because that's philosophy, right? Doesn't have anything to do with how this process actually works, so you're not going to spend time trying to consider it. Knowing and seeing in this way, would you now be inwardly perplexed about the present thus? Am I? Am I not? What am I? How am I? Where has this being come from? Where will it go? No, we're not going to be caught up in those kind of thoughts. Monks, knowing and seeing in this way, would you speak thus? The teacher is respected by us. We speak as we do out of respect for the teacher. No? Why? You are your own teacher. Knowing and seeing in this way, would you speak thus? The recluse says this, we speak as we do at the bidding of the recluse. No, you wouldn't say that either. Knowing and seeing in this way, would you acknowledge another teacher? No, you teach yourself. You're teaching yourself how this process works. Knowing and seeing in this way, would you return to the observances, tumultuous debates and auspicious signs of ordinary recluses and Brahmins, taking them as the core of the holy life? No. Do you speak only of what you have known, seen, and understood for yourself? Yes, Venerable Sir. See, you are your own teachers. Good monks, so you have been guided by me with this Dhamma, which is visible here and now, immediately effective, inviting inspection, onward leading, to be experienced by the wise for themselves. Now, these are the good qualities of the Dhamma. And I really like these good qualities a lot. Too many times people they say they're practicing Buddhism, but they get really complicated with their talk about Buddhism. And it takes away from being visible here and now. Being visible here and now. Every time you use the 6 R's, It's visible. You see that. And you see that you're letting go of hindrances. And it's immediately effective. Every time you use that relaxed step, right then your mind is pure. It's immediately effective. It invites inspection. Come and take a look at it. See whether it really works or not. Don't believe what somebody else says. Check it out for yourself. And this is onward leading. As you begin to practice and you really start to see for yourself that you are progressing, it gets kind of exciting. And it is to be experienced by the wise for themselves. That means you need to be able to see the links of dependent origination for yourself. For it was with reference to this that it was said, monks, this Dhamma is visible here and now, immediately effective, inviting inspection, onward leading to be experienced by the wise for themselves. Now we start off on a little different tangent here. Monks, the descent of the embryo takes place through the union of three things. There is the union of the mother and father, but the mother is not in season, and the coming being is not present. In this case, no descent of the embryo takes place. Here there is the union of the mother and father, and the mother is in season, but the coming being is not present. In this way, or in this case too, no descent of the embryo takes place. But when there is the union of the mother and father, and the mother is in season, and the coming being is present, through the union of these three things, the descent of the embryo takes place. The mother then carries the embryo in her womb for 9 or 10 months. 9 months is the sun calendar, 10 months is the moon calendar. So she carries the embryo with much anxiety as a heavy burden. Then at the end of 9 or 10 months, the mother gives birth with much anxiety as a heavy burden. Then when the child is born, she nourishes it with her own blood. For the mother's breast milk is called blood in the Noble One's discipline. And I've asked a lot of questions, why? Why is the mother's breast milk called blood? And I haven't gotten an answer yet. I'll keep going, but it's kind of frustrating. When he grows up and his faculties mature, the child plays at such games as toy plows, tip-cat, somersaults, toy windmills, toy measures, toy carts, and a toy bow and arrow. When he grows up and his faculties mature still further, the youth enjoys himself provided and endowed with the 5 chords of sensual pleasures, with forms cognizable by the eye that are wished for, desired, agreeable and likable, connected with sensual desire and inviting lust. Sounds cognizable by the ear that are wished for, desired, agreeable and likable, connected with sensual desire and inviting lust. Odors cognizable by the nose that are wished for, desired, agreeable, and likable, connected with sensual desire and inviting lust. Flavors cognizable by the tongue that are wished for, desired, agreeable, and likable, connected with sensual desire and inviting lust. Tangibles cognizable by the body that are wished for, desired, agreeable, and likable, connected with sensual desire and inviting lust. On seeing a form with the eye, he lusts after it if it's pleasing. He dislikes it if it's unpleasing. He abides with mindfulness of the body unestablished, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it actually is the deliverance of mind and deliverance by wisdom, wherein these evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Now, when it's talking about he abides with mindfulness of the body unestablished, what is he really talking about here? Not samsari, right? Not seeing the tension and tightness in your mind, in your body. So your mindfulness is not established when you don't see this, and mind just kind of runs off and does whatever it's going to do. That's why you have a limited mind, and you don't understand how deliverance of mind actually occurs, and how the deliverance by wisdom, seeing the links of dependent origination. You don't understand how this works when your mindfulness is so weak. Engaging as he is in favoring and opposing whatever feeling he feels, whether pleasant or painful or neither painful nor pleasant, he delights in that feeling, welcomes it, and remains holding to it, taking it personally. As he does so, delight arises in him. Now, delight in feeling is craving and clinging. With craving as condition, clinging comes to be. With clinging as condition, habitual tendency comes to be. With habitual tendency as condition, birth comes to be. With birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair comes to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. On hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling an odor with the nose, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, on touching a tangible with the body, on cognizing a mind object with mind. He lusts after it if it's pleasing. He dislikes it if it's unpleasing. Now, delight in feeling is craving and clinging. With his craving, clinging comes to be. With clinging as condition, habitual tendency comes to be. With habitual tendency as condition, birth comes to be. With birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair comes to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. Here a Tathagata appears in the world, accomplished, fully awakened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. He declares this world with its gods, its maras, and its brahmas. This generation with its recluses and brahmins, its princes and its people, which he has himself realized with direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing. He reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. A householder or householder's son, or one born in some other clan, hears that Dhamma. On hearing the Dhamma, he acquires faith in the Tathagata. Possessing that faith, he considers thus: household life is crowded and dusty. Life gone forth is wide open. It's not easy while living in a home to lead the holy life utterly perfect and pure as a polished shell. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard and put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. On a later occasion, abandoning a small or large fortune, abandoning a small or large circle of relatives, he shaves off his hair and beard and puts on the yellow robe and goes forth from the home life into homelessness. Having thus gone forth, possessing amongst training and way of life, abandoning the killing of living beings, he abstains from killing living beings. With rod and weapon laid aside, conscientious, merciful, he abides compassionate to all living beings. Abandoning the taking of what is not given, he abstains from taking what is not given. Taking only what is given, expecting only what is given. By not stealing, he abides in purity. Abandoning in celibacy, and this is for monks. Abandoning in celibacy, he observes celibacy, living apart, abstaining from the vulgar practice of sexual intercourse. Abandoning false speech, he abstains from false speech. He speaks truth, adheres to truth, is trustworthy and reliable, one who is no deceiver of the world. Abandoning malicious speech, he abstains from malicious speech. He does not repeat elsewhere what he has heard here in order to divide those people from these. Nor does he repeat to these people what he has heard elsewhere in order to divide these people from those. Thus, he is one who reunites those who are divided, a promoter of friendship who enjoys concord, rejoices in concord, delights in concord, a speaker of words that promote concord. Abandoning harsh speech, he abstains from harsh speech. This means cursing. He speaks such words as are gentle, pleasing to the ear and lovable, as go to the heart, are courteous, desired by many, and agreeable to many. Abandoning gossip, he abstains from gossip. He speaks at the right time, speaks what is fact, speaks on what is good, speaks on the Dhamma and discipline. At the right time, he speaks such words as are worth recording, reasonable, moderate, and beneficial. He abstains from injuring seeds and plants. He practices eating only one meal a day, abstaining from eating at night and outside the proper time. He abstains from dancing, singing, music, and shows. He abstains from wearing garlands, smartening himself with scent, and embellishing himself with unguents. He abstains from high and luxurious couches. He abstains from accepting gold and silver. He abstains from accepting raw grain. He abstains from accepting raw meat. He abstains from accepting women and girls. He abstains from accepting men and women slaves. He abstains from accepting goats and sheep. He abstains from accepting fowl and pigs. He abstains from accepting elephants, cattle, horses, and mares. He abstains from accepting fields and land. He abstains from going on errands and running messages. He abstains from buying and selling. He abstains from false weights, false metals, and false measures. He abstains from accepting bribes, deceiving, defrauding, and trickery. He abstains from wounding, murdering, binding, brigandage, plunder, and violence. He becomes content with robes to protect his body and with alms food to maintain his stomach. And wherever he goes, he sets out taking only these with him. Just as a bird, wherever it goes, flies with its wings as its only burden, so too the monk becomes content with robes to protect the body and with alms food to maintain the stomach. And wherever he goes, he sets out taking only these with him. Possessing this aggregate of noble virtue, he experiences within himself a bliss that is blameless. On seeing a form with the eye, he does not grasp at its signs and features, since if he left the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade him. So what are we talking about here? When you're doing your walking meditation and you start looking around at here and looking there, what happens in your mind? You start thinking about this and that? You forget all about your object of meditation? Now what it's talking about here is guarding your eye faculty or ear faculty or nose faculty or tongue faculty or body faculty or mind faculty. Okay? Guard those sense doors. You see a kind of food you like, what do you start thinking about? Let's taste some of that. I like that. I want some of that. Or smells. Or thoughts. 5 to 6 hours. Not get caught up in just letting your mind take off and wander wherever it wants to go. That's what we're talking about with the guarding the sense doors. Be aware of what your mind is doing and smile more. Smile. Smile. Can you smile? Finally. So when we're talking about restraint of the different sense doors, we're not talking about walking around with your eyes closed, because you're trying to restrain your eyes. Okay, that happened in Burma. There was a monk. He was kind of an old monk. He decided that he was going to go do his walking meditation with his eyes closed, and he fell into a drainage ditch. Wound up breaking a leg. That was foolish on his part. Oh, but I was trying to restrain my eyes. The way you restrain your eyes is with your mindfulness. Let go of your thoughts about stuff. How does the mind's attention move? 6R. Coming back to your object of meditation. Don't get caught up in the sense doors. Okay? Interesting thing to think about. All the sense doors are in your head. Right? Tell me a sense that's not in your head. Tell me. Oh, isn't this body?
It's elsewhere.
No. All the sense doors are your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, your mind. All in your head. Interesting, huh? Yeah.
The body is the body, unless is mind aware of the body.
Is this part of the body? Is this part of the body? Is this part of the body?
I have a very silly question. I'm sorry to ask this. Like when you're talking about controlling our senses while meditation, talking about all those senses. While doing meditation, while walking or maybe sitting, we're doing 6 hours. But in normal life,
You do 6 hours.
but then that means, like, for example, just taking a simple example of taste. We like to have something, and that's like in normal life, we like to have it. All of us will go back and then we'll have it.
The
So,
whole point of learning how to do this is to develop disenchantment. So you don't get so excited by it. It will happen naturally by itself, you'll see. You're purifying your mind. You're not indulging. Okay? So, on hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling an odor with the nose, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, on touching a tangible with the body, on cognizing a mind object with mind. He does not grasp at its signs and features. Since if he left one of these faculties unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade him. He practices the way of its restraint. He guards these different faculties. He undertakes the restraint of these faculties. Possessing this noble restraint of the faculties, he experiences within himself a bliss that is unsullied. He becomes one who acts in full awareness when going forward and returning, who acts in full awareness when looking ahead and looking away, who acts in full awareness when flexing and extending his limbs, who acts in full awareness when wearing his robe and carrying his outer robe and bowl, who acts in full awareness when eating, drinking, consuming food and tasting, who acts in full awareness when defecating and urinating, who acts in full awareness when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking and keeping silent. Full awareness of
Four foundations of mindfulness, where your meditation object.
What the mind is doing.
what the mind is doing while you're doing these activities. Possessing this aggregate of noble virtue and this noble restraint of the faculties, and possessing this noble mindfulness and full awareness, he resorts to a secluded resting place, the forest, the root of a tree, a mountain, a ravine, a hillside cave, a charnel ground, a jungle thicket, an open space, a heap of straw. On returning from his alms round after his meal, he sits with his body erect and establishes mindfulness in front of him, abandoning covetousness for the world, greed. He abides with mind free from covetousness. He purifies his mind from covetousness. Abandoning ill will and hatred, he abides with a mind free from ill will, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. He purifies his mind from ill will and hate. Abandoning sloth and torpor, he abides free from sloth and torpor. Mindful and fully aware, he purifies his mind from sloth and torpor. Abandoning restlessness and anxiety, he abides unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful. He purifies his mind from restlessness and anxiety. Abandoning doubt, he abides having gone beyond doubt, unperplexed about wholesome states. He purifies his mind from doubt. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you was that each of these links of dependent origination has the Four Noble Truths in them. Okay, I'm going to show you that right now. This is from the Samyutta Nikaya, the Nidana Samyutta 14.4. At Sawati, monks, as to those ascetics and Brahmins who do not understand these things, that's First Noble Truth. The origin of these things, Second Noble Truth. The cessation of these things, Third Noble Truth. and the way leading to these things, leading to the cessation of these things. Fourth Noble Truth. What are the things that they do not understand, whose origin they do not understand, whose cessation they do not understand, and the way leading to whose cessation they do not understand? They do not understand aging and death. Its origin, aging and death, First Noble Truth. Its origin, Second Noble Truth. Its cessation, Third Noble Truth. Way leading to its cessation, Fourth Noble Truth. And this goes through every one of the links of dependent origination. Then the Buddha says, these people I do not consider to be ascetics among ascetics or Brahman among Brahmins. And these venerable ones who do not, by realizing it for themselves with direct knowledge in this very life, they will not enter and dwell in the goal of asceticism or the goal of Brahmanhood. That means you won't attain Nibbana if you don't understand how to live. But as to those ascetics and Brahmins who understand these things, the origin, the cessation, and the way leading to the cessation, and what are these things that they understand? And again, it goes through all of the links of dependent origination. These are the things that they understand, whose origin they understand, whose cessation they understand, and the way leading to cessation they understand. These I consider to be ascetics among ascetics and Brahman among Brahmin. And these venerable ones, by realizing it for themselves with direct knowledge in this very life, enter and dwell in the goal of asceticism and the goal of Brahmanhood. So this lets you know how important understanding the links of dependent origination is. It is the backbone of the Buddha's teaching. Okay? This is it. Too many times I've heard people practicing straight vipassana, they talk about the backbone of the Buddha's teaching being anicca, dukkha, anatta. And that's not it. You can see one or all of the realms of existence without ever seeing the links of dependent origination. But when you see the links of dependent origination, you always see the realms of existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, with the links themselves. So it's a real important thing that you understand how important this is. And there's another thing. Putting these tabs on here is not a good idea.
Which one did you want?
Now, one of the things that a lot of people question is, what do you look for in a teacher? And the answer is right here. Monks, one who does not know and see as it actually is the links of dependent origination, their origin, cessation, and way leading to their cessation, should search for a teacher in order to know this as it really is. That's what you look for in a teacher. Somebody that can show you how the links of dependent origination actually do work. It's real entertaining sometimes finding some monks that are good storytellers and that sort of thing, but they really don't know much about dependent origination. So look for a teacher that does know about dependent origination and study with them if you're interested in being able to attain Nibbana in this lifetime. And that's, to me, that's the only goal worth working for. Okay. Having thus abandoned these 5 hindrances, imperfections of mind that weaken wisdom, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, the person enters upon and abides in the first jhana. With the stilling of thinking and examining thought, he enters upon and abides in the second jhana. With the fading away of joy, he enters upon and abides in the third jhana. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, he enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana. On seeing a form with the eye, he does not lust after it if it's pleasing. He does not dislike it if it's unpleasing. He abides with mindfulness of the body established, with an immeasurable mind. Immeasurable mind means a mind that has the Brahma Viharas in it. And he understands as it actually is the deliverance of mind and deliverance by wisdom, wherein these evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having thus abandoned, favoring, and opposing whatever feeling he feels, whether pleasant or painful or neither painful nor pleasant, he does not abide in that feeling. He does not delight in that feeling, welcome it, or remain holding to it. As he does not do so, delight in the feeling ceases in him. With the cessation of his delight comes the cessation of craving. With the cessation of craving, cessation of clinging. With the cessation of clinging, cessation of habitual tendency. With the cessation of habitual tendency, cessation of birth. With the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. On hearing a sound with the ear, on smelling an odor with the nose, on tasting a flavor with the tongue, on touching a tangible with the body, on cognizing a mind object with mind, He does not lust after it if it's pleasing. He does not dislike it if it's unpleasing. With the cessation of his delight comes the cessation of craving. With the cessation of craving, cessation of clinging. With the cessation of clinging, cessation of habitual tendency. With the cessation of habitual tendency, cessation of birth. With the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Monks, remember this discourse of mine briefly as the deliverance of the destruction of craving. This is a brief description of it. But remember the monk Sati, son of the fisherman, as caught up in a vast net of craving, in a trammel of craving. That's what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So, this particular sutta is just the starting point for learning about dependent origination. The Samyutta Nikaya has 90 suttas on dependent origination. And as you become more familiar with your own practice, you see how feeling arises, and right after that there's a tension and tightness. And then there's thoughts, and then there's your habitual emotional tendency of getting caught in thinking. And there's a lot of suffering in that. So what you want to try to remember to do is sharpen your mindfulness so you can see how things actually do arise on their own. And relax into that. Let go of the craving. Now, every link has some craving in it. But as you start to go deeper into your meditation, you start to see more and more subtle little parts of the links of dependent origination. And you're teaching yourself how this process works and how to let it go. You are your own teacher. It's not a maybe, it's a for real. When you have a hindrance arise, that is your teacher too. What you do with that dictates what happens with the rest of your sitting. You get involved in the thinking and trying to figure out and not liking this and not liking that, you're going to cause yourself a lot more suffering. Stop making a big deal out of whatever arises. Oh, but I have this bright light and it's so wonderful. Okay, so what? It's just a bright light. You didn't ask it to come up, did you? So don't get over enthusiastic with things that happen. Your mind doesn't like to be quiet. Your mind likes to have disturbance in it. Your mind likes to be entertained. And it'll come up with all kinds of different things that will entertain you. But when you take them personally and try to control them, you are causing yourself suffering. And you're doing it to yourself. Every time you 6R, you're letting go of that suffering. So, what do we got to do? Keep 6R. Okay, so, why don't we share some merit? May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fierce struck fearlessly. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we thus acquire, for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they all protect the Buddha's